I'm here with Canadian Member of Parliament, Charlie Angus. Charlie, I have to ask you to respond to this right away. Donald Trump was in North Carolina where he brought up Canada yet again. He said, I want Canada to be a 51st state. He says, if that happened, it would be so much better for the Canadian citizens. They would have much better health coverage and much better everything else. Your response?
Well, I mean, if this was a clown show, it would be a lot of fun, but it's not because it's deadly serious. But, Donald, this little card I have here, that's my health card. I just walk into a hospital and I give them my health card and I get free coverage. That's how health is delivered in Canada. We don't have people who pay and people who are denied. So when you start mentioning healthcare to Canadians, that gets our back up very quickly. And it also shows that either you don't understand what you're doing or what you're offering us is a malignant threat. So either way, Donald, it's you're really stoking the northern flame here, and people are getting more and more ready to resist.
Talk about that. People are getting united. People are finding ways to try to fight back, even across political parties. You're seeing the building of this Canadian identity in opposition to the United States. Talk about that.
Yeah, you're going to see over the next, I think, week and in coming weeks, more and more people stepping forward. I'm talking to people in the cultural sector, artists. I'm talking to people from across political parties, artists, writers, sports figures who are saying we have to speak up because the stakes are so high. Our sovereignty is being threatened. This is a guy who's siding with Putin against the people of Ukraine. We know what this kind of predatory leadership is with Donald Trump. And we're seeing in the United States now really frightening signs that they are not kidding around with this fascist tendencies that they're playing, him and Elon Musk. So you're going to see more and more Canadians coming together, and it's going to hurt the MAGA Maple people here in Canada, I think, in a big way. Certainly Mr. Pierre Poilievre, who's had the biggest MAGA mouth in Canada, seems to have gone radio silent. I don't know, he's hiding under the bed because being seen now with Elon Musk getting endorsements, being seen as a Donald Trump puppet is not playing very well with the Canadian people.
I've heard a lot of Canadians say it feels like we're living above a meth lab right now. But also, does it feel a little bit like you're living right next to your own Vladimir Putin? I mean, we heard Donald Trump's words over the past 24 to 48 hours where Donald Trump had said, look, it was Ukraine's fault. It should have just basically let Putin invade it, as Donald Trump saying that Canada should allow itself to become the 51st state. It sounds like there's a parallel in that rhetoric.
What I find really concerning is that when the people of Ukraine were attacked so violently and with such horrific cost of life by Vladimir Putin, we saw the world coming together, certainly in the West and Canada. We've been sending training, we've been supporting, our European allies have. And Donald Trump's response was to say that he thought that Vladimir Putin was savvy and a genius for doing this. Now he's attacking Zelensky and the people of Ukraine for not rolling over, for standing up for freedom, for standing up for their rights. This is a shocking, shocking thing to say. It's not funny anymore. This is a man siding with a dictator. And so when he starts threatening Canada, we take that seriously. There's no longer an opportunity or an option of saying, oh, well, Donald's just being a big mouth. No, he is siding with the rise of gangster politics on the global stage, and wants to be top gangster. I just don't think he's bright enough, but he certainly is dangerous enough.
Look, 5 current and former senior European officials said that Trump had this call with Denmark's prime minister over Greenland. It went very, very badly. They added that Trump was aggressive, confrontational. Quote, it was horrendous. It was a cold shower. Reports from that caller that Donald Trump was very serious and threatening. Hand it over to me. Hand it over to me now. And then the head of Denmark's like no. And then it escalated from there. What does that tell you about how he's dealing with things and how Canada needs to respond?
Well, Donald Trump obviously knows nothing of history. The people of Denmark resisted the Nazis in one of the most impressive acts of resistance in that horrific war. The fact is that Denmark is under the European Union, and the European Union will hold strong against Donald Trump, and they're also under NATO. So if this is all just an effort for him to break NATO in order to help Putin, maybe that's part of his strategy, or he just doesn't understand. But I think what's these kind of threats, predatory threats against allies and against peaceful countries, is very, very concerning. So certainly Canada needs to get our act together. We need people being really resistant at this time to this threat.
Charlie, you wrote a letter this past week to the chief electoral officer in Canada. That is a strictly nonpartisan position, and it prides itself on being strictly nonpartisan. What you called for in this letter is transparency. Is Elon Musk putting his finger on the scale and essentially giving millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in-kind contributions to right-wing political parties? It seemed like what you were asking for is pretty reasonable. We just want to know, are these basically secret hidden donations that are not being disclosed? Is this tampering with our electoral laws here? Maybe first, to our American audience, talk very briefly about the way elections are handled in Canada and why it's different, and why this letter, given how Canada elections are done, is so important to you, and what do you think is going to happen?
In Canada, a federal election is handled through Elections Canada. It's not handled at the provincial or territorial levels. So there is one standard for voting across the country. There's one set of rules. The rules are very clear in terms of transparency and accountability. There are no corporate donations allowed in Canada. It has to be individual donations. The maximum amount is $1,700 per person. So if Elon Musk lived in Canada, he could pay $1,700 and that's it. And this is about ensuring fairness so that every voice is heard. The issue that's really concerning to me, and the reason I wrote to the head of Elections Canada, and I'm encouraging people everywhere to write to Elections Canada to share their concern, and I'm getting pickup all across the country right now, is that we see that Elon Musk, a man who disgracefully used the Nazi salute at the inauguration, who's been playing really ugly word games with names like Himmler, Goering, has some of the worst mass killers in history, that this guy controls a media platform that could influence Canada's election, that he has shown a willingness to support far-right parties, that he's already interfered in Canada's political scene, supporting Pierre Poilievre, the MAGA Maple guy. Conservative MPs have been supporting Elon Musk for promoting the growing level of hatred and disinformation. So my letter to Elections Canada is, do they have the tools to make sure that he doesn't monkey wrench our electoral process? One of those tools would be ensuring algorithmic transparency during the writ period, so we can see whether he's putting his finger on the scale. And if Elon Musk is unwilling to respect Canada's electoral laws, will Elections Canada have the tools in place to take him on or to shut him down if necessary through the electoral period? Because it could be a very close election, and we cannot have men like Elon Musk, the broligarchy of the United States, interfering in our country.
It seems like it's a two-step process you're calling for. First, just be transparent. What's there to hide here, and make sure you're conforming to Canadian law, right? That's the basic question. And if you're not doing that, you get to step two. Then there should be ramifications. But let's start with transparency, because what are you trying to hide? What are you trying to hide, Elon? What are you trying to hide, Pierre Poilievre? What are you trying to hide? Let me ask you this finally. I ask you to do it each time. We know Donald Trump listens to this. What's your message to him right now that the first week of his disastrous term is over?
Donald, you stood on the inauguration platform with a man who gave a Nazi salute. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed for all the people who suffered under the Nazis, for all the vets in all of our countries who stood up and fought fascism. My family, my uncles, my great uncles who went and defended other people's right to live in freedom. And you're standing with people like Elon Musk, and you're threatening your allies and you're ridiculing the people of Ukraine for standing up for freedom, you are a disgrace, Donald. But if you think for a moment that you're going to sucker us into joining your mega nightmare, it's not going to happen. But I urge my American and Canadian friends that we also have to really be part of the resistance at this time, because what we're seeing unfolding in this first disastrous week shows that this man is not fit to lead, not just not just as a company. He's not fit to lead the people of the United States or to play a role as top gangster in the world. We have to resist him all the time, everywhere, now.
For those Canadians who say that they feel like they're living above a meth lab, I say to them, I feel like I'm living in that lab right now, and it is worse than expected. But I want you to know, I want all the Canadians who know, and we have a big international audience. I think more than ever, the pro-democracy communities need to be in solidarity with each other, not just in nations, but across the world. And we need to form these links. And it's what we're doing here. I know it's what you're doing there. And to all of our friends in Europe, Australia, everywhere, Asia, Africa, everywhere who watches us, we thank you. We're going to here with you. I know you're here with us. And Charlie, Angus, we really appreciate your leadership in this critical time.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.